Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Simply Beautiful with Amanda, and I am an independent artist with Maskcara Beauty and a makeup artist in general. I am here to talk to you today. That was always so awkward opening these things, so I'm just gonna own my awkwardness. You cool with it? I'm cool with it. So, today we're going to be talking about color correction. If you have deep redness, dark under eyes, or anything that you need to correct on your face, I have some great information for you and some great products that can help you with that. I've been working with a lot of new faces lately, and I have found that there are a lot of misconceptions on how we do that color correction. So, if that is something that interests you, let's get into it, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you know when my next video comes out, and let's go do it. Okay guys, so as I said, we're talking about color correction with Maskcara Beauty. As you can tell by my skin, I have deep redness, dark under eye discoloration. So today we're going to be talking about the ways that we can address that using Maskcara Beauty products and the techniques that are just as important as the colors to make sure that you're color correcting that deep redness. So the first thing I'm going to do today is start off with Stay Spray. This is Stay Spray without SPF, just my preference, and I spray it on a damp beauty blender or perfector sponge, and I use that as my makeup primer. And I just kind of get that all over. I also used it on my lids before I did my eyeshadow. Then we're gonna let that dry. And we're gonna grab our tools and our compact. Now if you've watched any of my videos prior, you know I love Maskcara Beauty because it is all customizable. Here is my entire face. We have my foundation and concealer, color corrector for under my eyes, here's a bronzer, a couple of contours, and my blush of choice lately, as well as my setting powder. And then I can open up the second deck, and here are all my favorite shades of eyeshadow. And everything I own is now in one neat place, and when you have two little guys running around, it's really important to know where everything is and out of sticky fingers. So now that my Stay Spray has dried, I'm going to go ahead and start color correcting this redness. Now, the color is as important as is the tools. So I really love our B² brush. It's designed for blush and bronzer, but it is really just got this super dense kabuki end that just lays on a thin layer. Now, with color correction, you are going to layer your products slightly, so it's important that we color correct with the lightest possible layer to avoid that cakey effect. And then also, kind of what inspired me to do this video is I've been working with a lot of in-person makeovers lately, and there's a misconception out there that when correcting any type of darkness on your face, whether it be under eye circles, melasma, acne scarring, that you're to go in with a lighter color. That is not the case, and it's certainly not the case with Maskcara Beauty. A lot of times when we have darkness in our skin, we need to correct with a darker color, then go in and brighten it up with a lighter color. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So my first shade I'm going to be using is this shade here. It's amber, and I'm going to color correct the redness. I'm going to take my B² brush and just pounce it in ever so lightly, picking up just a thin layer of product, and then notice my motions. I am stippling this product into place. It is so important, I think, with all makeup to stipple, but when you're doing color correction, it is super important because we are going to be layering on a color. We don't want the things that are set in place already to move. So you can see my redness is pretty considerable, and it's pretty much all over. So there are key places I don't put this color, but I do pretty much use it almost as an all over shade. And you'll see I'm keeping a very light layer going, not very heavy on the coverage, and it's doing its job. I do tend to take a heavier layer on my chin because that redness is so deep. Also, the redness above my brows is incredibly deep, and it takes a little bit more product. Notice again, it's just that pouncing motion is so important when getting this product on. It really does a great job of pushing it into your skin. And if you are color correcting more for texture, this method is really going to help you fill that texture. And again, if you're using this product to cover texture, a darker color is going to be needed. If you're a customer of mine and I've color matched you with a darker color and you come back and you're like, whoa, Amanda, that does not match your skin, I'm likely matching it to the darkness you have. Anything with brightness, anything that brings light is going to bring focus. So never when you're color correcting or wanting to hide dark circles or dark pigmentation on your skin are you going to want to put a lighter color. It's just not going to work. So again, with the brows, my brows are pretty deep. I could go in there with a small brush, or I could just use the edge of this one and save tools. So for my ladies out there, if I tell you you can do it all with one brush, you pretty much can. And again, my redness pretty much goes, I like a very thin layer on my forehead. I don't like a lot of product on my forehead. So I sweep just a quick layer. And there we go. My color correction is nearly done. You can see I have some darkness under my eyes. If I get real close here, you can see there's blue there and a little bit of brown and some funky little discoloration that I have on the outer corner here. I'm actually going to use a darker color than even I put on my face. It's called Mango, and it has orange tones and kind of brown tones. And I'm just sweeping it underneath with my finger. And I try to get as close to the lash line as I can. I always save my under eye makeup for after my foundation is on. And you can use a really detailed brush to do this. We like to keep it simple around here. And just use my finger. Okay, so you can step back and see the difference between one eye and the other. Clearly, this has addressed my issue. It's like a magic eraser for dark circles. So again, just patting it into place. See that blue right there at the inner corner? Let's get rid of it. And even with my finger, you guys, I'm using a stippling motion. That stippling motion is going to be incredibly important, especially when brightening under the eye, because you have a color corrector underneath already, and you really want to make sure that you don't move that product. And we're not going to set it, so it's really important to be mindful of that. I like to take my sponge after I've done all my color correction and just kind of run it over my face lightly. And just kind of pounce, 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 picking up any excess of that darker color and airbrushing that finish before I go ahead and contour and brighten, especially under that eye area, because that really is not a match for my skin. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to the detail hack brush. Now, if you're a customer of mine and this is the brush you have and you have to address redness, instead of applying your highlight with this end, I really do recommend just flipping it over and using that fuller end to do what I did. This is a great brush. I love it for under eye brightening and contouring, which is what I'm going to do today. But it is a beautiful brush for just getting that highlight on. It's a very multi-useful brush. So if you're a customer of mine and this is what I matched you with and you need to color correct, just flip your brush over. So we're still working out of that same palette. I'm going into 2 shades to brighten actually, and that's my preference. You can use one. I like a really bright under eye, so I'm gonna mix a tiny bit of Moonlight with a tiny bit of White Peach to give me some good under eye brightness. And I'm gonna use the pointy end here. And when I color match my customers, we talk about all of it. We talk about brush preference. We talk about how bright they like under their eye, how dark they like their contour. We have a real good makeup chat. And this is a step I really don't recommend anyone skip. And you'll notice I'm putting my product kind of down on my cheek and moving it up the side of my nose and under my eye. So if you have any fine lines or wrinkles under your eyes, putting this product or any product directly under the eye will potentially give you creasing in your fine lines. By placing the product down here and working it up, you're avoiding that. So it's really important. So I'm just making sure that's nice and bright, and I'll just step back so you all can see. And also notice when I'm brightening, I'm not sticking to that under circle. I'm coming all the way down, almost to the end of my nose and up to the top of my cheekbone in a nice upside down pie piece. That brow hair is driving me bananas. Okay, so one side is brightened. Look how much more lifted my eye looks. It gives you a little bit of dimension, a step that must not be skipped. And a really easy one too. And mostly it's just one color. I just like to use two. I have access to all the colors, of course, because I have a problem. So I tend to play and find things that I really love doing. And if there's any type of dip in my eyeshadow, there was here and I meant to point it out. I just clean it up with this highlight. I really do. Like, see here, I just kind of create that soft line. It's like a magic eraser for your eyeshadow mistake. Okay, so then I just like to take a little bit of that and just go here. And then when I contour my nose, I'll do that as well. And then we're gonna take our sponge and just kind of soften all of that out and see how much brighter that spot is. That spot. And then just kind of coming under my eye. You do not want any excess product under that eye because you want it to not crease or move. And I tapped all my products into place, so I did not move my color corrector. You cannot see that blue under eye. So now we're gonna go ahead and contour. I'm gonna pick up Astoria. I'm gonna use the rounder end of my 30-second hack brush, and all we're doing is enhancing our current shadows. So you can see I have a shadow on either side of my nose. The top of my forehead is shadowed. Here's where you place your cheekbone, and then look at the shadow here. You have a map to your contour placement on your face already. You just have to find good light and look at it, and then put your product there. So I'm just gonna, it's a little thicker of a formula than our highlight, and I'm just gonna pounce it into place. Again, because I do not want to move any product underneath it. And making sure you come up into the hairline, especially if you have lighter hair. Be careful that you're not coloring your hair with your contour. But all we've done is just darken that shadow a bit. And I just kind of fluff down the end there, just so I don't have any weird lines. Creams are so forgiving. So if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. Cheek contour is next up. And I'm just push pressing into my skin right under that cheekbone. I'm pushing up against it to make sure I have good placement. Now, if you are new to contouring and pinching the brush is helpful to you, you can go ahead and do that. If you'd like a more thinner contour line, I like a little bit of a thicker line. For me, that's just how I like to do it, but if you are wanting a thinner line, pinch it up. And then we'll kind of blend it forward. And then I don't reload my brush for my jaw, I just kind of sweep what's left underneath. Now when we're blending this, you can definitely use your sponge, but I love to use my brush. And I just kind of stipple it up. You can definitely flick, but go so lightly because you don't want to overblend your contour, and then the next thing you know, I'm getting a message saying my contour is not showing up. 90% of the time, that is because we've overblended it. Okay, our shadows are in place except for our lovely nose. I actually switched brushes for my nose. I use a tiny brush. This is the Blend and Tap. It's an eyeshadow brush, but I love it for nose contour. I load the kind of flatter end, and I'm just following that side of my nose with my same color. Forgive me looking in the phone and not at you all. I'm kind of using it as a mirror. And I'm just gonna lightly contour my nose, nothing crazy. And then I'll go into that lighter highlight. This part is probably more important than the contour part. Getting those lines, that line down the center of your nose. Nice and bright and nice and straight. Now we're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and put some blush on, still out of that same palette, using our Sandstone. Great color for fall. I'm using that dome end of the 30-second hack brush. You can use your finger. You can use your sponge. You can do whatever you'd like. Just make sure you're not coming too far inward, because all that work we did brightening, we don't want to undo it by adding blush. And I'm just going over my contour line towards the apple of my cheek and blending back so it lays like just beautifully over my contour. And just softly softening that top line so we don't have any sharp lines. We don't want that. And then the last step I like to do is add a little bit of bronzer. Bella Cream bronzer is still in this one compact. I'm using the fluffy end of my B² brush, which is what we use to highlight and color correct. And the first thing I like to do is come down my neck. As you can see, my neck is really dark as compared to my face. So by putting bronzer down there, everything kind of marries. And then we're just gonna hit the high points of our face. Add a little warmth, a little bit of love. Summer's leaving me. And just kind of right over our blush. It's a really sheer bronzer. So for anyone that's nervous about bronzer, this is gonna be your jam. I see a little spot that I don't love. Cleaned up, done and done. And that is it. The last step that I like to do is set my makeup. I just take my Stay Spray. Actually, I'm not gonna spray my face directly because my eye makeup is done. I am going to pick up the sponge I dropped and do just like I did and just set it with some Stay Spray. Now my makeup is set. It will not move. If you're oily, you can do a little powder after. I like a little powder after, just my preference in certain areas, so I don't look overly dewy. And so I like to set under my eye. I'm just going into my vanilla dust that's here. It's a translucent pressed powder. It's a light powder, so if you really have oily skin and you need to bake your makeup, I can talk to you about what might be best for you. But this is a light setting powder. And then just a tiny bit down the nose to set that. And then we'll take our Sandstone that we put on our cheeks. Got a little sloppy there. All is forgiven with mascara. I went a little crazy right there, so I'll just clean that up. But look, I took like the tiniest bit of highlight and cleaned that up. Done. That is it. Color correction with Maskcara Beauty. Cream foundation is wonderful for correcting. This particular line is great because it has so many yellow tones in it. So if you would like a color match, you can certainly send me a message or reach out to me, and you get the information in the description below the video, or you can just keep following along. Make sure you ring that bell so you get my next video, and I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching.